Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Lounging with Lisa in all my glory. With more, uh, my voice is more Selma Diamond than normal because I'm really not fully awake yet. But I wanted to let people know about my son Spencer and his girlfriend Katie and their friend Bill and a man from Poland, evidently named George. They've all left the Florida Keys. Um, some of you might not even know, but my son works at I call it a 1% club down there, run by, well, it's a 1% club. You have to make 250,000. It's $250,000 a year to join this club. It's even more than Mar-a-Lago. So, in the sociopathic manner of most of these club owners, they wanted them to stay. Yeah. Well, actually, it's really weird. I'm not really sure how this works. But Spencer works 4 different job descriptions down there, and so he has 4 different bosses, or an immediate supervisor, and a second in command, and all this crap. And he got permission to leave. There's a mandatory evacuation for the Florida Keys, but hey, we got to serve caviar later, so you might want to hang in there. And so he was allowed to leave, given permission to get these days off or whatever. And, however, his girlfriend has a real humdinger as a boss. And he and his wife were riding it out there. And he just figured, so will you. So finally, I don't know what happened or how they arranged it or if they arranged it, but they left. And I'm glad. They got the heck out. I just called them at 8 o'clock in the morning. And they were just exiting the state of Florida. So people forget how big Florida is. It takes half the journey just to get out of that state. So they're coming clear here, ladies and gentlemen. That's what's happening. So they have exited the Florida Keys. This place is on Key Largo. Now, clearly, if it doesn't do much damage and everything's, good to go, they'll go back and resume the employment. But, we just don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. I know the Keys are going to be affected. They'd have to be. This hurricane is huge. If nothing else, they're going to get a lot of flooding and such. So, I'd be very surprised if they didn't. I can't say I know it's going to affect the Keys. That was kind of silly, like I'm some sort of scientist, but a mad scientist I might be. But at any rate, I just thought I would update those of you who have been in touch wondering what the heck is going on with the child. His friend Bill had just relocated from Pennsylvania and was working there as well, evidently under the same, how can I put this, authoritarian reign as a regime as Katie, the girlfriend. They both had the same boss, is what I'm trying to say. So it sounds like Spencer's bosses are fairly decent people. In fact, they are leaving. They're also going to evacuate. So, oh, and I guess the guy who was not happy about them leaving or whatever, didn't want Katie to leave or had her scheduled to work. They had somebody scheduled to work on the beach on Thursday. I'm like, yeah, you're going to have a lot of clientele at the beach on Thursday. But I know it's not supposed to come until Friday, but nonetheless, people do prepare, especially when you have a few dollars to rub together. Now I forgot where I was going. Oh, he pointed out, Spencer went and kind of confronted him. And the gentleman evidently said, well, we got through that tropical storm early in the season. And Spencer said, was it a Category 5 hurricane? One of the largest ever recorded in the Atlantic Basin. Well, no, but we're really prepared here. We've got these brick walls in the medical center. All this jazz. That's fine and dandy, but we're talking about damage to vehicles. Both of the kids have vehicles they're paying off. There's a lot of things to consider when this happens. Not just the wind damage, not just the actual... Why am I telling you this like you don't know? Not just the actual hitting of the hurricane. Did I say tornado earlier? If I did, forgive me. That's another thing. It can spawn tornadoes and stuff. But the flooding and the damage and the lack of electricity afterward. In 1983, I moved to Houston. Several months later, let's see. I had started my job at the River Oaks Animal Hospital, 2614 Edlow, on July 11th, 1983. Well, August 19th, if I'm not mistaken, Please give me a break. It's amazing. I'm doing this well. We got Category 3 Hurricane Alicia. That was horrendously hideous, especially for somebody from northwestern Pennsylvania, not used to hurricanes. Although we used to get weather from them when I was a kid. I remember Mom saying, oh, this is from the hurricane that hit, or whatever. I don't know which one. And it was just horrendous. I mean, the animal hospital, I was in a panic that I would miss work because I was new there. And so I woke up because the electric went out. You know, I don't know why. And set this little wind-up clock. Well, it turns out my boss called in the morning and said, do not go in. We're going to go in. So he and his family went in. From Katy, Texas, where my sister actually lives, outside of Houston, west of Houston. A lot of people commute into Houston from Katy. And they went in and cleaned the cages. I think he said it took him 6 hours to drive in. Normally, I think it used to take him an hour, maybe. So, it's not pleasant to go through a hurricane. The Category 3, of which I speak, hit Galveston. And people, because they had built up that seawall down there, they were so, I don't want to say arrogant, but confident that, because there was that big one that hit in 1902, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember, ladies and gentlemen. But they had built up the seawall. Everything was on stilts and this, you know, really hurricane-proof the island. So a lot of them got stubborn about it and they didn't leave. Well, guess what? A lot of them lost their lives. A lot of them lost their homes. It was very devastating. It took years to rebuild. I can remember just still hearing about it when I lived in Houston, because I lived there 10 years, so I lived there through 90, or into, 93. About how Galveston was still, carrying out X, Y, and Z after Alicia. So, who knows what's going to happen, but all I know is my son has exited stage left. He will be arriving here in Pennsylvania at some point with a man from Poland with a heavy accent. His girlfriend, of course, who we know, and her parents live right in Meadville, or on the way to Meadville, and Bill. Come on, marry me, Bill. I love you so, always will. Yeah, we love Bill. I don't want to marry him, God forbid. But anyhow, okay, that is all. Just an update on the hurricane, on my son. I'm glad that level heads prevailed, shall we say. And, they didn't hang out to serve one customer that's going to be there. I mean, it's a resort. People live there. It's, a gated 1% place is all I can say. And they have all kinds of festivities and activities. And some people live there year round. And other people, probably have a winter home there and that kind of thing. So that's the nature. It's called the Ocean Reef Club, in case anybody wants to look it up. But, okay. Lounging with Lisa, the video series that has me lounging while coming at you with thoughts of the day. Please join me, join others. Drop your political identities. Let's focus on issues, and please leave labels at the door, ladies and gentlemen.